Give us a little story about how you guys got together, because I know, there's a lot of history here.
Which time?
Yeah, which time? Well, first of all, even more important than that, for all the memories you've given us, who were your heroes? Who inspired you to want to do music yourself?
Ray Charles. That was my inspiration.
Ray was the big one?
He was the big one.
Lonnie Mack, back in the old days when I first started, and a lot of stuff that was happening in the late 50s that I grew up listening to, so a lot of influences.
Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich.
That did it for you.
And James Brown and all the R&B from Motown.
Sure. Carmine, tell us how you guys all met. What was the common thread that made it click?
Tim and Mark. They were together in a band, Tim and Mark Stein. They left the band, started the Pigeons. They put an ad in the paper and got Vinny. And I was the last one in. They always said, after I got in, 9 months later, we made it. Mm-hmm. So I always say, see?
Tim, what was the common thread musically that brought everybody together, and what was the chemistry that you were looking for in these other players?
Rhythm and blues pretty much is what the thread was. We all liked it, and at the time on Long Island, where we were working most of the time, people were taking numbers and slowing them down, making good production numbers out of them. And we started doing that and got good at it, and then got famous doing it.
Speaking of,
Yes?
you know Keith Olsen? You know who he is?
Keith
Olsen is a big producer.
Yeah.
He was in the Music Machine.
Okay.
You know who they are?
No.
They played with us at Bambi's
No kidding.
at Newport, Rhode Island.
Sure.
They were the headline act. They used to wear the glove.
Oh, yes, I do
And
remember
we blew them
that.
off the stage at night.
The thing I remember
As the
about
Pigeons.
that is there was a staircase
Yes,
outside.
the organ.
We had to carry the
Carry the organ
B3
up that
up.
huge
That
stairway,
huge,
yeah.
just about killed us.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
remember that too.
Gosh.
But he's
Yeah.
here, and we're talking about that.
I'll be
this morning.
darned.
Yeah. How about that?
That's amazing. I mean, a Keith Olsen connection to Vanilla Fudge. That is truly incredible.
It is
So,
a small world.
we'll talk about when, your first recordings, the first songs came to, when you really knew you had something and you saw people reacting to it. What was the greatest memories, and tell us about that time?
Oh, one of the best memories is Vinny and I were driving home from a gig in the city one night. We were coming around to Shaler Boulevard. Vinny was driving me home. And Keep Me Hanging On came on for the first time. Do you remember this? We drove straight across the island because we were both pounding on each other so hard we almost hit the gas pump. It's my big memory of it. Yeah.
How about you, Carmine?
had that old
When
team.
do you get the feeling you had something
For
here?
me, the great memory was
Yeah.
doing it. We
We drove
recorded
me
it
home
in
and the
one-take
record came
mono.
out. For the first time we heard it.
And
I have that
we
memory.
heard the playback.
It's you and me. Yeah.
That was the biggest memory for me.
Man, Tim.
Amazing. And how about you, Vinny? What's your greatest memory about you really feeling that this gelled? You had something unique to offer, and that maybe the time was right as a group.
And for Pigeons originally, well, for me, I had come up from Florida. I was in the Navy in the Cuban crisis. Got out, played music in Florida for a couple of years, came back to New York. And this agent, Sal D. Grand, I met him in the Union Hall down at Roseland Ballroom. I don't know if you want the whole spiel. But anyway, he gave me a card of Rick Martin and the Show.
Okay, that's enough.
And next thing, Joey Brennan gives me a call, and him and Mark Stein picked me up, went over to Timmy's house. Mark's new B3 was just...
Joey was the old drummer.
Right. And we went over to Timmy's house. Mark had his new B3, and these guys were tight. It was Timmy, Mark, and Joey, and they were tight. So anyway, I just came up from Florida and I had my 335, and I guess we played some tunes, and I think Timmy got into some kind of a groove. Timmy, great bass player, this guy over here, and great drummer over here. Anyway, make a long story short,
Over here.
it clicked. It just sounded great. And that's it. We got together, and I was looking for something. These guys are already tight, so we just got together fast.
Yeah. Now, what was happening in the country, the industry back then? I mean, what was the climate like? You know,
The Rascals.
that made it perfect for
The Rascals
Vanilla
were
Fudge.
happening, and the Rascals started a whole chain reaction in Long Island, which turned into production numbers, which was slowing things down, making them big, long, dramatic kind of productions. Those groups were the Vagrants, the Rich Kids, the Hassles, Vanilla Fudge, and everybody, somebody came out of each of those bands. Vagrants had Leslie West, had Mountain. Vanilla Fudge were the only band of all of us that made it. The Hassles had Billy Joel, and Rich Kids had the guy Richard Super, became a big writer. Wrote with Aerosmith, wrote many, many songs. So that whole thing was a big dramatic thing. But what we used to do is take the lyrics and make the lyrics fit the music. Like You Keep Me Hanging On was very fast. Set me free, why not? Very happy. The lyrics are not happy. They're real hurting kind of lyric. So we put the music to the lyrics. People Get Ready was more like a gospel-y thing. We made it churchy. Eleanor Rigby was sort of a spooky, eerie thing. We made it sort of haunting. Season of the Witch, same thing. So we used to match the lyrics with the music.
It's great. And all that you've seen
Very good.
over the times, what advice would you give to that new band today, that new singer, that new musician? Somebody coming up today, it's a whole different world, but what do they need to concentrate on? And
Their
maybe
day
avoid?
job.
True.
Because
you gotta have it
only
to back up.
0.01% of all of them was going to make
Oh,
anything
sure.
at all.
But if someone's dedicated, they're in
The
their
music
house,
business
they
is
got
not
their
the way
rent
it was.
paid, maybe the parents paying the bills, what do they need to concentrate on? Because everybody's looking for a shortcut, and we know there isn't
There is
one.
no shortcut.
What do they need to concentrate on to find their own style or voice?
You got to polish your talent until it shines brilliantly, and then pray to God you're lucky. That's about it.
Today is very different than,
Yes.
there really is no music business today. It's done.
You got to make it
It's done.
yourself.
It's done. The download killed the computer killed the music business. Basically, that's where it's at. There used to be, you know, a band would get together and they make a noise, they get signed to a label, and now you get signed to a label and you sell 10,000 records. That's it. You know, it's really not good. As Tim said, get a day job. It's true.
And if I may say, back in the old days, we had great management, we had great people behind us, we had a great record company, we had a great lawyer, producer, we had everything was lined up. That nowadays it's very hard if you don't have some people behind you with some pull and connections. It's very hard. It's a different way. You kind of got to get into the computer way of doing things. Put your stuff out on YouTube.
People make it today.
It's a different animal.
People make it today somehow, which I don't really know how they do it. Like I was reading, I was in New York, I read sold out show, Madison Square Garden. Second show added. I never heard of these guys. Black Keys. I never heard of them. Never heard a hit record on the radio. All of a sudden they're playing Madison Square Garden. Somehow these young kids do it with the internet. They know how to do it. We don't know how to do that. So you better better off asking a young guy how to make it today. Because we don't really have a clue.
Sure.
And I'm retired, so it's a moot point.
What is it you think about Vanilla Fudge that has had this lasting quality where 40-some years later, we're wanting to talk about it?
It shocks me. I never thought in 1,000 years that anybody would care now.
At the
Very
time,
surprising.
it was fun. And
It was just something I did once as a kid and had a great time doing it. Made a couple of bucks, met 1,000 girls, thank you, and had a wonderful time doing it.
yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea it would have any longevity, no.
And then, of course, you've got the legendary Jeff Beck, who asked you to join his band. What was your greatest memory of that?
Wow.
Ooh, now you're hitting some real interesting stuff.
My greatest memory?
I'm Mark Farner.
There were a lot of them, so it's hard to pull one out of the hat,
I
really.
got a greatest
There's an awful
memory.
lot.
Sure.
When Jeff Beck did a solo, as a goof, he'd fall down on the floor and Me and Tim both hit him with a whipped cream pie.
Yeah,
That was a fun memory.
that was a fun memory.
Especially when we didn't know him that well. And I remember talking back to, should we do it? Should we do it?
Absolutely.
And then the road manager, Clive, said, yeah, do it. He'd be all right with it. When we hit him with the pie, he breathed in, he breathed some of this.
Damn near choked.
But he was fine. He was fine with it.
Yeah.
And we made that part of the show. You know, we said, come on and encore, hit each other with whipped cream pies and tear up tuxedos. Remember that one?
I remember wearing them. I don't remember tearing them up.
And Edmonton, when we drove the car out on stage,
I remember that.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
we tore it up because we gave him back to Ernest. Said, here's
Here.
the tuxedos, Ernest.